Thank you, French about shalom. Pekudei, accounts. You must leave now, take what you need you think will last. But whatever you wish to keep, you better grab it fast. But there will be no leaving and no grabbing. This last parsha of Exodus brings the work on the tabernacle to a conclusion. And friends, the tabernacle is one of the most fascinating items in ancient Judaic lore. It is the most written about item in the Torah and takes a dominant role in the wilderness stories. But I think it truly belongs to the first temple and was designed to be the tent of God and the connection between Moses, the nation, and the temple. And so it was living history. When you read Exodus 38:20 to 39, you read about the excess and the grandeur of the tabernacle. And then you see 603,550 people were counted in the census of those 20 years and over who had to pay the atonement price. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of ransom. We are told it was 29 talents of gold, and each talent was approximately 75 pounds, and there were over 100 talents of silver. The people then make Aaron's priestly garb, and the stones of the famous breastplate are listed in 39:10, and they contain topaz, carnelian, emerald, ruby, sapphire, diamond, amethyst, onyx, beryl, jasper, and more. And we've all seen pictures of what it might have looked like. And friends, there is a major sentence missing from the Masoretic text, the one which is primarily followed, and a sentence which is in both the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Samaritan text. And they made the Urim and Thummim as Yahweh had commanded Moses. Friends, this was again a reference to the only known means of direct communication with God, the only way of asking God a question and getting an answer. A crucial piece of the priestly trappings which disappeared after the fall of the first temple, along with the ark and all those other great relics we've talked about. We don't know what they were. We don't know how they worked. The book of Samuel is considered the key to understanding them. Their basic translation was lights and perfections, which some took to mean revelation and truth, and may have been derived from the Babylonian terms urtu and tamitu, which meant oracle and command. It really doesn't matter. It did, however, figure prominently in the high priest garb and did provide a means of direct communication, which was then lost for all time. Many of the Talmudic rabbis, along with the Jewish historian Josephus, followed the belief that the divination involved questions being answered by great rays of light shining out of the jewels of the breastplate. And its emission is an example of haplography, the act of writing once which should be written twice. And so it occurs when scribes omitted sentences because more than one sentence ended the same way, and they notice only one occurrence. Here both sentences ended as Yahweh had commanded Moses. A simple enough sentence, but its omission left out another reference to one of the great mysteries of ancient Judaism. We learn about the priestly vestments and about the famous headdress with the words Kadosh Ladonai, holiness to God. And in later years the sages would argue over whether it was on one line or two. And again, does it matter? You say yes, I say no. You say stop, I say go, go, go. We have a need to hold on to relics. They are surviving memorials and often become revered. And friends, I have seen many religious relics. I have been involved in the blessing of many religious relics, and too often they take on a role greater than they were ever meant to be. What do you revere in your life? Is it worthy of reverence? As Roger Waters wrote, money, it's a hit, don't give me that do-goody-good bullshit. We are told when the inauguration or consecration of this great work was to take place, the first day of the first month. And so we know when this seminal event took place. The first of the year was originally known as the month of the new grain, or Abib, which in later Hebrew was called Nisan. And so this was now the first day of the second year of the Exodus, or to be precise, 1 year less 2 weeks after the departure from Egypt. And God tells Moses to set the ark of the testimony there and have the pavilion cover over the ark. We talked of it before, friends. It was not a curtain, but a tent. And the book ends in Exodus 40:16 with the words, and Moses did it according to everything that Yahweh commanded him. He did so. This is the same phrase used in describing Noah's obedience to God. And so the only two biblical people associated with floating in arks are connected. And they are connected also by their obedience to God. Moses is silent at the end of Exodus. And in fact, he will not be necessary with the tabernacle in place. It has the necessary accoutrements. It has the Holy of Holies. And while the altar is what is described as the Holy of Holies, the supreme location of the sacrosanct, the nexus between divine and human, is the ark, within which are the tablets of the covenant. And Exodus ends with the cloud moving, and the cloud abode the glory of the Lord. It is poetic. And the ending of this book points more to Numbers than Leviticus, because it points to tales of wilderness wandering, catastrophic desertions, battles between leader and led, and not to priestly regulation. But that is what's next. Leviticus is positioned right in the middle of the Bible, my friends. It is the shortest book. It is a period of complete stasis dealing with ritual, with its emphasis on animal sacrifices. Friends, Genesis was the action of man. It was creation, the flood, the Tower of Babel, but its focus was the patriarchs and their journeys and adventures. Exodus was the action of God, his story told through one person, Moses. And God goes from being known to a handful of chosen individuals to being known by everyone. And now we're coming up to Leviticus, the priestly rules, and it is about the Word of God. There is no movement here. The entire book takes place at the foot of Mount Sinai. The disturbance in the force throughout Exodus is supplanted by the orderliness and arrangement and the formation of a people and an identity by law. And friends, this book became the entry to the Torah over the years since the temple was gone. 2 entire tractates of the Talmud based on this book would be devoted to the cultic laws, such that Rashi would say, introduction should not be by Genesis, but by Leviticus. Let the pure ones come and study the laws of purity. It will place an emphasis on division, the same process as creation, and it will play out in this book as things divide between clean and unclean. And we'll see the establishment of sacred space, the protection of the divine, and an emphasis on the ontological spheres of fire, blood, oil, and water. God reveals his commandments in a display of fire. His presence moves by the pillar of cloud and fire, and the burnt offering sacrifice is entirely consumed by fire. Blood is the life of the living animal. It must not be consumed, but is to be used in ritual. Oil is the substance of dedication for the priests, for the kings. And finally, water, the great purifying agent, used universally. And these 4 substances come from 4 different levels of existence. But we get lost in this world of relics, of arks and tablets and curtains and tents. As Bob Dylan's saying, now he worships at an altar of a stagnant pool, and when he sees his reflection, he's fulfilled. Oh, man is opposed to fair play. He wants it all, and he wants it his way. Friends, emphasize yourself, not others. Satisfy yourself, not others. Accept what goes on around you and live your life true to yourself. You can only change others by changing you. Stop focusing on the external and work on the internal. Shabbat Shalom.